you guys for showing up today, this evening, with our masterclass with Clara and McLain. We're going to, you can turn your cameras on if you would like to kind of watch. If you want to turn your cameras off and you're doing stuff, that's totally fine. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll be sure to reach out to Clara and let her know that you guys have questions. You can ask throughout the whole thing. She also has she's going to be working with students in the first part of the masterclass, and then towards the end, she's going to go ahead and do a presentation over marketing yourself as a musician. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Clara.
All right, yes. So hi, Jaden, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. You?
Doing well. So you're Nick's student, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How long have you been studying guitar?
A bit over a year now.
Oh, very cool. So what got you started in playing guitar, or classical guitar, that is?
Not exactly sure which month.
Oh, but like, were you just playing acoustic and electric and then kind of crossed over to classical?
I've started with acoustic and classical.
Oh, very cool. All right. So you're going to be playing Snowflake for us, right?
Yes, ma'am. Without the
Without the repeats. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Okay. How long have you been playing this piece?
I think for a few months I've been practicing it.
Awesome. Okay, well, I've been listening to it today, and it's a really fun piece. I'm going to start learning it. You inspired me to. All right, so whenever you're ready, Jaden.
All right.
heck was that? What's going on? I think somebody has their mic on. How do we turn that off? Wow. So Jaden, sorry about that at the end. I don't know what happened there. So give me 1 second. Okay. Is it just me or did my camera get kind of fuzzy?
It's good right here.
Okay. So that was really nice, Jaden. Just quick reminder, everybody, please have your microphones on mute, please. But let's talk a little bit. So you have a great foundation. You and Nick have been working a lot on your left hand. Your right hand looks really good. Your posture is great.
Yeah.
It sounds very nice.
The audio is not from the TV.
What was that? But anywho, so Jaden, let's talk a little bit about how you go about practicing this piece. Have you tried playing block chords like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Okay. How about just bass line by itself?
Yes, ma'am. I've tried that a couple of times.
Okay. So I think at this point, what you can do is a little bit more in regards to bringing up the tempo a little bit, playing more with the dynamic levels, which you did. I noticed you did quite a bit, but I think you could do it even more so. So this is a pretty speedy piece. So I think practicing with a lot of plants very slowly. So can you see? So you're practicing having your finger on the string before you play it, but at a very slow tempo. Can we go ahead and try that real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, great. So now let's just try to pick up the tempo a little bit. Kind of what you're at a speed that you're comfortable at. Okay, try a little bit faster. Okay, let's see. If you were just kind of feeling like you were playing like Speedy Gonzalez today, how fast could you go?
Think about this fast.
Okay, so I think what I would recommend for you is start pushing yourself a little bit. You have the technique down, you have the notes under your fingers. I think at this point you can just work on making it even better, making it faster, making it a little bit more fluid, which brings me to a little bit about the left hand. So the left hand, you kind of want to think of your fingers as always moving towards the next note. So even though you might be on one chord, you kind of want to start moving your fingers towards the next chord. Even if it's just like by millimeters, you still kind of want to have that lean towards the next note. Have you and Nick talked about that a little bit?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so and that you practice it very slowly, just constantly moving your fingers. You want to think of your fingers as dancers. You don't want them to be stuck on one chord. You want them to constantly be in motion dancing. It's a funny analogy, but it works. So with that in mind, can we go ahead and start from, let's go to line 3, measure 2. It's right after the second ending. And go ahead and practice moving your fingers, constantly leaning towards the next note. Great. And I got to ask, are you using, so third line, second measure, you're using your finger, and then are you using your third and second, or your second and first here?
I'm using first and second.
Okay, cool. And then you slide up with the first and second again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This edition has 3 and 2, but I preferred 1 and 2, but that's great. We don't have to change that. Let's go ahead and start there again, but let's keep going. All right. Let's keep going. So go ahead and start where you are, and let's go through a few more measures. All right, Jada, I'm going to stop you here. So this is a place where you can really experiment with your dynamic levels. And then it just keeps going, doesn't it? So, you know how you get louder by pushing into the face of the guitar?
Mm-hmm.
Try that a little bit more at that measure. So second line, first, or second page, first line, second measure. You know, experiment with it. See how loud you can make it without breaking this, like making it break, but getting a nice full sound. Because I think you're at that point where you can really start thinking about these kinds of things. So I'm not going to make you do it right now, but just be mindful of that during your practice. And you did it very well on the 4th line of that second page. So this part, that was nice. So go ahead and just do that whenever you see the dynamic markings throughout this piece. Let's see. Okay, so you might want to consider getting one of these. I call it my slip grip. And you put it on the legs of your guitar, or legs of your guitar. You put it on your legs before you put your guitar on your legs, and it keeps it from sliding. It is really nice for keeping the guitar stable. And yeah, I highly recommend it. I didn't use one for the first few years, and as soon as I started doing it, it was a huge game changer. Has Nick talked to you about those?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I will send you a link of where I got these. You can get one from Strings by Mail, but it's really small. This one's nice because it comes in like a big sheet, and then you just cut it, and it's great for both legs. So let's see. Let's go ahead and, how do I make your screen big?
You should be able to next to his on his screen, just the three dots,
Yeah,
and then hit pin, add pin.
add pin. Ah, perfect. Thank you. That was very helpful. Okay, thank you. See, you gotta teach me about some of this stuff, Paul. Okay, so let's go ahead and start from, let's do line 4 of the second page, starting with that crescendo marking. Great. Okay, I really hear your thumb coming out whenever you're playing that. I hear that loudness level. Try adding that same dynamic level to your index and middle fingers when you're playing it.
Mhm.
Pretty good. So here's what you can do. Whenever you're practicing those two measures or measures like that, think or focus on different voices. So first time you play it, focus on that thumb. Second time you play it, focus on the index finger. And then your middle finger. And kind of play around with what voice you're bringing out, which note. You want to try that real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, now try bringing out the index finger a little bit more. Good, now the middle finger. Good. Okay. So honestly, this would be a great piece to apply that I guess way of practicing to the entire thing. So just go through it, bring out the bass line, bring out the index finger, bring out the middle finger. And then whenever you decide to, you can change up what you're bringing out. Let's say whenever you get to the second or the first ending, you can not only change the sound this way, you can bring it, you can, I guess, add variety to it by changing which right hand finger you're bringing out. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
cool. Okay, so let's see. Let's just recap a little bit. So leaning always towards the next note. And how you practice that is very slowly. So you did that pretty well earlier, but you could even go slower. You could, let's talk about your right hand, the staccato, or not staccato, the planting. Practice it even slower. You want your finger movements to be fast, but you want the speed at which you're going to be very, very, very slow. So it's not a very fun way to practice, but it's very effective. So, but you have a great start on it. And remind me again, how long have you been playing it? A few months?
Oh yeah, a few months, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you have the basics down. You have the notes, you have the fingerings, It's just, it's kind of like stretching a rubber band. The more you stretch it, the harder it is to stretch it further. That's kind of where you are. So we're just adding the next level of, I guess, yeah, you're taking this piece to the next level, which is actually pretty cool because that's where you get to be creative. Let's see. So what kind of exercises do you do on a daily basis?
I usually do right like the arpeggios, PIM, PIM for this one.
Okay, cool. And for your left hand?
Sometimes I do, what's it called? Forgot, but yeah, I do left hand exercises.
Okay.
The scales, yeah, scales.
Scales. Oh yeah, scales are great. That's another one that you can apply the slow but fast movements on the right hand and constantly leaning towards the next note with the left. So we're about time. I hope that some of these things will be helpful. And before we move on, do you have any questions for me, Jaden?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Oh, I gotta ask, are you at OHS or Permian? Are you not in Odessa? You're in California?
No, I'm here in Marfa, Texas.
Marfa. Oh, you're Marfa. Oh, beautiful place. Okay. Sorry, I assumed you were from Odessa as well. But that makes sense because Nick was doing the Marfa stuff. Okay. Oh, well, let's just say I am jealous of you.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, Jaden, it was a pleasure to listen to you. And yeah, I will send you the link to the slip grips. All right.
Awesome. Good job, Jaden. Very good job. We have Mariah who's going to go ahead and get set up. If anybody has any questions, I mean, feel free to send it while we're getting set up.
All right. Okay. Okay, so let me unpin Jaden, or replace pin. What do I do?
I just remove.
You remove. Yeah. You just press remove?
Yes.
Okay. But it says we'll not be able to rejoin the meeting. So I just say bye-bye?
Oh, you should be able to, let me see. You'll kick them out of the room if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do that.
Remove pin.
Remove pin. Okay. It says replace pin. Is that it?
Try replace. See if that does it.
Okay. I don't know if that did it.
You can, if in the right-hand corner near view, click remove all pins.
Right-hand corner? On view?
On view. If you click on view.
I see speaker, gallery.
It doesn't say remove all pins. Then just try pinning Mariah. Let's see if that'll work.
Okay. Ah, how do I get rid of JP?
What happened?
Remove pin. There it is. Okay, we go. Hey Mariah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Okay, so you're gonna play some Segovia for us. I'm excited. Okay, so whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Yay, great. All right. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been playing.
So my name is Mariah, and so I started guitar in sixth grade, and it was really fun. But my middle school that I went to, they didn't offer it anymore. Well, they didn't offer it, and I didn't seek out lessons. But in college, I decided that I wanted to play again, and yeah, and I've been playing this piece um, since this semester. So
Awesome. Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So you started in college. So is this your second semester of college?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, very cool. Are you at UTPB?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So you're with Paul, and one thing that I want you to do is you have your hand kind of close to the well, directly over the sound hole. I think you can move it back so the circle is the rosette, kind of at the bottom of the rosette, and that'll give you a little bit more bright sound, but it'll still be it won't be too twangy. So I think moving there. You also have a really good plants going on right now. I think whenever you're ready, you can start adding a little bit more speed to it. So you kind of want to think of this piece as going from beat 1 to 1, rather than 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Really accenting those downbeats. One thing that is really, really helpful for musicality is large gestures. So instead of thinking of the music as individual notes, you're thinking of it as more of like impulses. So, and going from one downbeat to the next is a really good start to that. So would you like to try that a little bit, starting at the very beginning? Great. All right, I'm going to pause you. Do me a favor and put your index finger on the first string, 5th fret, and then add your second finger to the 6th fret, third finger to the 7th, and your pinky to the 8th, all on the first string. So if I were there right now, I would have you relax your wrist a little bit. I'd probably shake it and be like, hey, it's a little tense. Go ahead and relax it a little bit. So you want it to be fairly straight. And you want to notice how your pinky is a little extended. You want to bring your third finger and pinky knuckles closer, I guess, closer to the neck of the guitar so that it's easier for your pinky to move. Yes, that looks nice. Try to relax your wrist a little bit more. That might come from your shoulder a little bit. That looks great right there. That looks very nice. So I think you relax your shoulder a little bit. You're keeping your fingers, or maybe a tiny bit more relaxed wrist. And this actually might come from maybe you need to bring your thumb up a tiny bit. Not so much that your wrist angles like that, but just enough so that your wrist stays straight. Your fingers are close to the neck. Pretty good. Bring your thumb up a little bit more. Yeah. And try to have that and relax your shoulder, relax your elbow to your torso. That looks very nice. So you want to keep your left hand pretty much like that. There are always exceptions. You're going to encounter chords where you have to bend a little bit more than others. But for the most part, you want to keep your left wrist straight, your third and pinky knuckles close to the neck, because honestly, your pinky's like a puppy. You have to train it. and it likes to kind of go do its own thing. So having it close makes it a lot easier to, what's the word? Teach, I guess. Okay, so that I saw occur a little bit whenever you used your pinky kind of in, I guess, at like measure 27 of this piece. Let's go ahead and try that real quick. So go ahead and lay the chord down. Good, go ahead and scooch, G sharp D. Move back 1 fret towards the tuning pegs.
Oh, I'm on the wrong measure. That's why. Okay.
No worries. Good. So this kind of same thing. Notice how my wrist is quite straight, quite relaxed. You want to try to mirror this a little bit. So that might mean you need to bring, again, your third finger and pinky knuckles closer to the guitar. You might need to drop your elbow a little bit. Just try these little things that might make your wrist a little straighter, a little bit more relaxed. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so I think another exercise that will really help you is playing buzz notes. So you're playing the entire piece, but you're just buzzing the notes, except for whenever, of course, you're playing the open strings. So practice that, and then slowly start adding pressure back, and you'll see whether or not you're adding extra pressure, which it gets tiring. I used to play with just brute force, and I was always trying to figure out why my hands hurt all the time. So by really being mindful of how much pressure you actually have to use to play these notes, it's going to be very helpful. So, hey, Paul, do you know if her guitar is a standard size, 650?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay. So just something to keep in mind. I have a 650 scale guitar as well. I could use a 640. They're big guitars. We're little. And so it makes it a little bit harder to play. So maybe just keep that in mind for a few years down the road whenever you're deciding to upgrade, maybe a 640 scale. Okay, so let's go to back to measure, let's do 25. And let's talk a little bit about those triplets. Would you go ahead and start? Awesome. Okay. How long have you been playing this piece?
I had originally practiced it individually, and then I began that this semester, and then we just compounded them together.
Awesome. It sounds really nice. I like it. Okay. So I think at this point, you can kind of play with the dynamic levels a little bit, kind of like how I was talking to Jaden about it. Oh, so that brings me to, so you see those accidentals like the G sharp? Accidentals make music interesting. Without them, music would be very blah. So whenever you get to those, really bring them out. That is your opportunity to get louder, to play a little bit closer to the bridge, to be dramatic about it. You can start a little bit quieter and then bring it out, especially here. And then we resolve back to that A minor chord and get sweet again. So this piece has a lot of potential to do a lot of things dynamically and musically, actually. So whenever you're practicing, do you plant your fingers when you practice?
Um,
Oh, so you have your finger on the string a little bit before you actually play the string.
oh, I try to. Sometimes I forget, but I try to.
Okay, no worries. So this would be a good place to do sequential plants, practicing about this speed. But my finger, as soon as I play the next note, as soon as I play one finger, my next one goes to the note that's following. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and try it about that speed, just lots of planting. Very nice. Okay, so this is what's going to make you fast. By planting and having your fingers down on the string before you're going to play, then you can start speeding it up. Then that muscle memory is going to take over and you're going to be able to play it really, really quickly and make it very dramatic and fun. And this is a kind of Spanish style piece, right, Paul? Oh, yeah. So they're dramatic. They're Spain, it's going to be a very lively piece. So, but first you got to play it really boringly. And yeah. So play it boring, practice boring, and then whenever you're performing it, that's whenever you can really just make it into a very beautiful piece. So let's try that kind of idea with maybe measure 17, that less than 50. So very dramatic plants, full plant this time. Good. Now I want you to try it without the exaggerated planting. And more emphasis on going from like beat one to the next beat, or beat one of the following measure. So now try the opposite. Try, instead of putting your finger right or on the string right before you play it, have it just hover above the string and then play it. So you're letting it ring a little bit longer. Very nice. Okay, so that is something else you can do with this piece. You can play some of them short and then some long. Yeah, that'll add some contrast to it as well. That'll also be very good for your right hand technique. So let's see how we're doing. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let's talk a little bit about your technique exercises that you do when you warm up. Do you do arpeggios?
Um, yes, ma'am. For right hand, I've been focusing on like thumb versus finger, and then all together, and then individuals, which helped with this piece a lot.
Definitely. Okay, cool. And how about for your left hand?
With my left hand, I have been doing scales, but with my music, something that I've been trying to work on is taking the right hand out and focusing on the form with the left hand.
Okay.
Because the wrist is definitely something that needs improvement, and so that's something that I can do to focus on that a bit.
I completely understand. Actually, both wrists was an issue for me. I used to play like that, very old school looking. Yeah. So one thing my teacher at SMU introduced to me is called the doorknob exercise. And so you let your left arm drop to your side and kind of notice how straight it is, how it feels, how it's relaxed. And then without moving it, moving your wrist or really your fingers, you bend from your elbow and bring it back up to the guitar. And that right there is your ideal left hand. So go ahead and do it one more time. Okay, without moving your wrist any. Pretty much. The first time your wrist was a tiny bit straighter, kind of like mine. Let's do it one more time. Completely relax your arm from your shoulder. And also another way to kind of loosen your hand is you have your hand like this, like you're going to a doorknob, and then you move it back and forth like this. Do the same thing with it down at your side. It feels really nice whenever you want your fingers to feel like weights. And they're just moving back and forth. They're and then however fast you're able to get it. It's a very nice little exercise for relieving tension. Okay, but then you drop your arm, bring it back up. That's your ideal left hand. Yep, that looks really pretty. Okay, so can you show me one of your favorite left hand exercises?
I could do a scale if you'd like.
Okay. Okay, are you doing like a C major Segovia scale?
No, I actually haven't gotten to those yet. No,
Okay, no worries. I was just curious. So like just one octave in second position?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this would be a good one to do the buzz notes. That would actually be a very good one to practice your buzz notes. So would you like to try it real quick?
I was actually going to ask, by buzz notes, what do you mean?
Oh, okay. So you have your finger on the string and you're not applying enough pressure for it to actually ring. You're just barely pressing enough for it to make that buzz sound. So, and another way to practice that would be you have your finger resting on the string and then you just continuously add a little bit more pressure and see when you start to have a ringing sound. So let's just try. Yeah, that's it.
So it's almost like a harmonic, that type of pressure at first?
Yes, just a little bit more than that. And you want to stay behind the fret rather than straight on it. And eventually you'll want it to sound more like this. So it's like right in between ringing and then having that kind of sound. So just to play around with the pressure a little bit, that's going to help develop your left hand like a ton. I wish I had done this earlier, to be quite honest. All right. How are we doing, Paul?
That's about it.
Okay. Mariah, do you have any questions for me before we continue?
With the doorbell exercise and planning it back again, so is it the key to a good left hand position thinking that the weight is mainly just in the fingertips and then the rest kind of falls down naturally?
So the weights are kind of whenever you're doing that doorknob movement like that, you can really feel it whenever you have your hand down, but you don't want to think of your fingers as weights so much whenever you have your hand up on the guitar. if anything, you want to think of your elbow kind of having its natural weight, adding a little bit of help so that you're not just pushing with your fingers, you're letting the weight of your arm pull into the guitar. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like, you know, dead weight. If somebody just plops down, it's like almost impossible to pick them up. You kind of
Yeah.
want to think of your arm as dead weight. You want to activate it a little bit, but however much help you can get from your natural body weight is going to really keep your fingers from getting overly fatigued. So it's like using what you have rather than I guess adding additional pressure and maybe even tension.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Was I able to kind of elaborate on
Yeah,
that
that's
a little bit
good.
better? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, Mariah, it was great to listen to you. So, are you in Odessa?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you go to OHS or Permian?
I went to Permian.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you again. And yeah. Oh, let's see. If you have any questions, just let me know. And yeah, you're doing fabulous.
Alrighty, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.
Awesome. I did a good job. Next up, we have Bo that's going to get situated.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so we have Bo next, right? Where are you?
I'm right
Oh,
here.
there you
I'll
are.
pop up. Awesome.
Okay, let's add you. Okay, cool. Okay, Bo, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Okay, so you're going to be playing Romance for us.
Etude. Yeah. I'm just gonna do one time through, so no repeat.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Oh.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so how long have you been playing classical guitar?
Classically, I was probably in 8th grade. I started in 8th grade around that time with
Okay.
Paul. Um, and then around high school, I got out because I just had so much going on. And then I started up a few years ago, like 3 years ago.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
But so that was classical. Does that mean you played electric or acoustic before then?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was like 6th grade.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this piece. So I'll be honest, I was playing a different version. I played
Uh,
I played that one. So if I start playing that one, just stop me. But let's talk a little bit. Uh, Whenever you go to the fourth line, second measure, you're at like the 12th fret.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Okay. That looks really nice. So notice how your left hand is your knuckles are parallel to the fingerboard. That looks really good. I noticed a couple times down here, especially like, which chord was it? This one. So of course you have to angle your hand a little bit, but I think you could do a little bit more to help your pinky there. Because sometimes your pinky, notice how you're kind of far away from the fret sometimes.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
And so that is likely to buzz the note. It happened up here a couple of times, so just be mindful of that.
Okay.
Stay close to the fret to avoid the buzzing. But that's an easy fix. Let's see. Let's go ahead and try playing it again from the beginning.
Okay.
Pause you. Let's go back to that one chord.
Okay.
So this one you can kind of make into an exercise by itself. Just playing that chord and moving your pinky and taking it off.
So my pinky needs to be like out here more or closer?
So this you might need to have the palm of your hand a little closer to the
Okay.
You might need to adjust it like that so that your pinky is able to move a little bit easier. You might need to move your thumb up a little bit more because it looks like you have big hands.
I just got wide hands.
So you might have to bring your thumb a little bit over the neck a little bit to kind of facilitate that pinky movement. We try to do whatever we can to make it easier for the pinky and the third finger to play.
Okay.
So just be mindful of that. You might want to make, your wrist looks very nice right now. What would happen if you made it straight and just practice on that pinky movement? Yeah. So make your wrist a little bit straighter. Go ahead and just have the other fingers down. So try bringing your thumb up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And then relax your elbow. Okay. That looks pretty good. As long as it feels, it might feel a little weird right now.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and try it a few more times. See if you can make your wrist a little bit more relaxed. And yeah, that's good though. Okay. With that, there were a couple of instances where your fingers came off away from the fingerboard a little bit more than I would like it for them to. So just keeping them close to the fingerboard and always moving towards the next note. I probably sound like a broken record now. But yeah, always leaning towards the next note, always preparing, always having dancing fingers rather than statue fingers.
Right.
Okay. So let's go ahead to maybe line 3, and then we'll keep going.
Oh, line 3, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. All right, let's do that again. Move your right hand back towards the bottom of the rosette a little bit more. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Quick question. Do you have nails right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right, yeah. So you can get away with being even further back and it's still having a nice warm sound. So just be careful not to go too far up, especially whenever you don't have nails. Yeah, you can do more back here.
Okay.
And let's see. Let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about that dynamic there, that crescendo. So be careful not to make that first B the loudest. You want the second
Okay.
to be the loudest.
Okay.
Nice. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about line 2, measure 1. So when I'm playing that piece, or that part, the part of that piece, I think the most interesting part right there is that G. So you kind of want to maybe add some vibrato to it, add a little extra oomph somewhere.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
All right, now let's try this. Add a little extra oomph on that first G, but even more on the second G. So on the second measure of that line. So play more like this. And then die away.
Okay.
Yeah, that was nice. You added a little bit more in that bass line as well, so that was nice.
Okay.
I think you could be doing a little bit more in regards to those dynamic levels throughout this piece.
Yeah.
Let's go on back to line 4, measure 2, where you're going up to that high E.
Okay.
Pretty good. Let's move back a little bit more. Start at the beginning of that line.
Okay.
Kind of build up
Yeah.
to that high E. Pretty good. Careful not to overly build at the beginning. You can
Yeah.
have, and then a little bit quieter, then a little bit louder, loudest, and add some vibrato. Really make it good.
Awesome.
Good. And another thing you could do is you could use, you're playing all free stroke right now, right?
Yes.
So to add even a little bit extra oomph to it, you can do a breaststroke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just to kind of add, yeah, let's try it. So maybe just that high, well, honestly, I would do, yeah, oh, sorry, I add an extra bass note, but yeah, especially that high E, but maybe the G, the B, and as well as the E.
Okay.
Kind of stroke. Oh, are you making the index and middle rest strokes as well?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I was just making the A.
Okay, no, that's good. For some reason, it just seemed like it was cut off a little bit. I was trying to figure out why. So you still want the those high notes to ring. Maybe it was the left hand. Try that again, please.
Okay.
That's better.
Yeah.
I think it was the left hand. Maybe
Yeah.
the note too quickly. But you know, they are eighth note, so I think it's nice to let it sing a little bit over the B and G. Okay, sounding really nice. So whenever you do take the first ending, uh, do you kind of play with like the dynamic levels and what kind of sounds you're doing to kind of add contrast to it?
Yeah, I'm a vocalist at UTPB, so I'm in a lot of plays and stuff. So
Cool.
I kind of think of this as like a scene or like a play basically. So I
Very nice.
kind of make every measure like a little chapter, a little scene, and I
Oh,
try to think about that.
oh, that sounds really pretty. I had a teacher who wanted me to use solfege whenever I was playing. It was really hard to do, uh, but it was very helpful,
Yeah.
especially singing the melody lines, and even the parts that aren't like that BG. You can even add a little bit of dynamic contrast to that to make it interesting. Changing from a normal position to maybe, um, let's see, moving back a little bit. So,
Yeah.
will you, do you have plans to grow out your nails? Or you,
Well, that's really hard for me for sometimes because I work and they break easily.
I understand.
Yeah, so
I,
for now I have to keep
so
them low.
totally understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the main way for you to change the sound would be physically moving up and down uh, closer to the bridge, further away. So doing that. So let's try that a little bit. Just start at the beginning, play the first line normal, and then go back and play it again closer to the bridge. I want to hear the difference.
Okay.
Good. Now
Okay.
close to the bridge. That's nice.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like that is going to be really helpful whenever you have a line or measures that repeat. So okay, that's really nice. So
Thank you.
what kind of things do you do for technique?
Uh, can't really think of anything, but I do work on like switching my fingers a lot, like doing this type of things, or I'll work just individual fingers.
Okay, very nice.
And then I have a student who I work with a lot. We try to get on the left hand, we try to get the points down. So I do like the chromatic scale with her, like,
Oh yeah.
so I do that with her sometimes.
Okay, that was very nice. Whenever you're doing stuff like that, be careful that you want to kind of keep your fingers hovering above the string before you play it.
Yeah.
So just be careful that you don't pull them away too far when you. That's actually really nice is to try to move your fingers as little as you can.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind and let's see. Would you do this for me? Just play like a PIMA arpeggio.
So, sorry.
Oh, so thumb, index, middle, ring. Thumb's on
Oh.
6, index on 3.
What strings? E.
E, G, B, E.
Oh.
Okay. So be careful whenever you play, whenever you have your, oh goodness. So you don't want your fingers to stay back whenever you pluck.
Yeah.
So just be careful that after you play, you kind of want them to recoil back. So kind of do this with your hand. Just have it in front of you and push each individual finger. Notice how quickly it moves back to its
Yeah.
position, its resting position, without you even having to. So keeping it like this takes energy, whereas letting them just go back to normal takes zero energy. It does it by itself, which is so
Okay.
helpful. So just be careful with that, not keeping your fingers locked or back. Let them be relaxed and move by themselves pretty much.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Excellent,
that was
excellent.
great.
Thank
So,
you.
Bro, do you have any questions for me?
No, that actually helps me a lot to think about it like that. I like
Yeah.
this. That's awesome.
Yeah. You want to think of guitar playing as easy.
Yeah.
And when it starts getting hard, you might be, no, you want to reevaluate why it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Usually there's an easier way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I really enjoyed your playing, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
All right, Paul.
Awesome.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about marketing for musicians. Let me pull that up. Oh, actually, before we start that, let me look at this chat. Do we have any questions or anything like that?
I haven't seen any questions.
All right, cool.
Unless I sent them to you.
No, I didn't see anything. All right, remove pin. Okay. So let me go to slides. So before we continue, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and just drop it in the chat, and I'll get to that real quick before we start on the presentation. Okay. Oop. Okay. So did anything pop up, Paul? Because for some reason I can't see the main screen right now. Ah, there it is. Okay, cool. Let's see. How do I? All right. How do I share the
Do you not have a share screen on the
I'm
bottom?
not seeing it. I see.
Let me try this.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Share screen. Okay. Here we go. Can y'all see that? Awesome. Okay. So marketing for musicians. This is something that I've been working on for a few months now. Not this presentation, but learning about how to market yourself as a musician, really how to market yourself as a creative. There are tons of resources for like photographers, calligraphers, all these other creative professions, but there are so few for musicians. But the main thing I think is because musicians nowadays, we're able to market ourselves. We don't have to rely on a record company to sign us and become a successful musician. So here are 3 things that are very important to a musician. So your website, Google Business, and social media. Real quickly though, I could talk about each of these things for like an hour each, maybe more. So this is a very brief overview of each of these. All right. So why do I need a website? Your website conveys your professionalism. So let's say somebody meets you on the street and is like, hey, you're a musician, you're a guitarist, I want you for my my party later. They're going to go to your website. They're going to see what you have there. They're going to look for your music. They're going to look for pictures. And if you have everything there that they're looking for, they're going to want to hire you because you look professional, you look reliable, you look like somebody they can trust. Whereas if you don't have a website that, you know, it's halfway done, you don't have your pictures, you don't have your music, they're going to be less likely to reach out to you again. So your website shows people who you are, what you do, and why they should hire you. Wix is great. I've never used Squarespace, but I've heard lots of really good things about it. I personally use Wix, so that is going to be a couple things that I tell you about is going to be in relation to Wix. Okay, assets for an effective website. Discover your brand. So you ask yourself, what emotions do you want to convey when people browse your website? Excited or calm, glamorous or down to earth, classic or edgy, and so on. These are the things that are going to set you apart, make you unique from your colleagues. So you can think about what you want to convey. Me personally, I want it to be classic. I want it to be natural. I want it to be with a little bit of unexpected. So ask yourself these things. This is your brand. This is what people are going to remember you by. So stick to 3 emotions. So pick excited or calm. You don't want to do both. You don't want glamorous and down to earth at the same time because people are going to be confused. You want to show them. Oh, do we have a question or something? Okay. Anywho, so you pick 3 emotions and 3 complementary fonts. So I have seen websites that have like 20 different fonts. You do not want that. You want to keep it clean. You want to keep it consistent. You want it to look like a professional did your website. So by narrowing down your fonts, narrowing down your emotions for your brand, that is going to make your website stand out and be, what's the word? It's going to be attractive to your potential clients. All right, use imagery to your advantage in multiple ways. We love images. We are visual beings. We want to see who we are hiring. We want to see what they look like. We want to see whether they look nice, whether they look professional, whether they look, like they're going to fit whatever event your client is hosting or putting on. So, but I say in multiple ways because your imagery, the more imagery you have on your website, the more you'll be able to use that imagery, not just to have visual help or visual, I guess, stimuli. You'll have it for Google, which I'm going to get to in our next slide. Okay, so the basics of a good website, make it scrollable. So actually Google's in a couple of slides. Scrollable. So don't just have one picture and then at the top you have your about, your photos, your music, lessons, things like that. Have a cover photo. Have a nice one. Either have it professionally done or put on a nice suit, a nice dress, have your instrument and take a photo with your phone if you can. But really put some time and effort into curating this cover photo because this is what people are going to see when they first go onto your website. This is the make it or break it for your website. Okay, so then number 2, a quick description of what you do and where you offer your services. So introduce yourself a little bit. Say you're a guitarist located in Odessa, Texas, or Houston, Texas, or wherever you're located. Just a quick little summary of what you do. And it really doesn't even have to be an actual sentence. It could, like, my website has Galveston plus Houston, and it has before that, hold on, I'm pulling it up on my phone. I bring the elegance and flair of the classical guitar to you. It's just a little snippet about what I do and where I do it. Okay, 3, add pictures with descriptions, your about me, lessons. Again, whenever you have an opportunity to add a picture, do it. It brings color to your website. It makes it more attractive to scroll. And again, I'm going to go on about why these images are so important for Google. But number 4, a brief about me with a picture of yourself. Another picture of yourself. You want your face, you want to be either smiling, you want to show exactly who you are and what you can bring to the table. You don't need your entire biography here. Just a quick, I say, hi, I'm Clara. I'm a classical guitarist based on Galveston Island. When I'm not performing, teaching, or practicing, I can be found entertaining my daughter. Make it relatable. If you have something funny, or you have a kid or a dog, or you like to go snorkeling or hiking, you can add little things like this. Make yourself seem, make people see you as an individual, as a person, not just somebody to hire. Okay, reviews. Ask a past client, a past student, or a current student for a review. Just add those on there. It's going to make your website look just that much more professional. Blog posts. Blog posts are very important for continuously adding fresh, content to your website. Google really likes fresh content. And whenever you figure out what Google likes, like keywords of, like my keywords are classical guitarist, Galveston, Texas, lessons in Galveston, Texas, guitar lessons near me, things like that. Adding those things to your blog posts, Google's going to read those, and they're going to start, whenever somebody searches for a guitarist in Galveston, my blog post might come up, my entire website comes up, things like that. Social media links. As soon as people start scrolling on your website, they're going to want to scroll more. So give them something to scroll. Give them your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, anything that you have and you're consistently posting fresh content. Let people have access to that, which let's keep going. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media a little bit later. So make Google your girlfriend. Ask yourself, what does Google want? What does Google need? What will make Google like me? This is very important, because how do we discover what service we're looking for? We put it in to Google, haircuts near me. Then you start scrolling through the different websites, different businesses, and you see who has good ratings, who has bad ratings. So in order to make it to the front page of Google, you have to optimize your website. So you want Google to find your website by searching keywords, like for me, classical guitarist in Houston. For Paula, it's guitarist in Odessa, guitar lessons near me. By adding these keywords into your website, Google will find you and show your website when someone searches these keywords. This is improving your SEO, search engine optimization. All right, improving your website SEO. So all this is for Wix. Squarespace is going to be different. Any other website building service is going to be a little different. But for Wix, what you can do is you can edit your websites or your picture descriptions by clicking on the photo, going in settings, editing the image text, include what you do and where you do it. So that is why you want tons of images on your website, because you can manipulate Google to have to show these images when people search these different things. So guitarist in Houston, you go to images, you'll see one of my pictures up there. If you search guitarist in Galveston, same thing. Kind of vary the text that you use. So, have guitar lessons Galveston, classical guitarist Houston, things like that. That way you'll be shown on multiple different searches, and more people will find you. All right, so edit your SEO on each individual page of your website by editing the search results title and what's this page about. Okay, so this is a little bit trickier. You can edit your website or your page's description. Each individual page that you have on your website can be edited to have these keywords in it so that Google will show these pages when people search your keywords. So that is why you should have at least about 6 pages on your menu. So like home, biography, photos, well, actually media, which will include your photos and videos, lessons, contact, and then one more, which is up to you. I currently have 7. Oh, the 6th one would be blog posts. I have 7 right now, which is a little, it's a little much, but it works. It's not too many. But then as you continue going through a website, you'll want to have even more pages. So you'll have your blog posts, then you'll have each individual blog post that you have, and that just adds more pages to your website, more opportunities for Google to find you. Okay, let's see. So adding new content with your blog posts, Google really likes new content. That is so true. It really does. And again, if you decide to use Wix or Squarespace, if you look up how to optimize your SEO on Wix, how to optimize your SEO on Squarespace, there will be a step-by-step instruction on how to do that and where you can add these keywords to each individual page of your website. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so there's a lot that goes on with the websites. I could continue talking about it for another 30 minutes and into more detail, but let's talk about Google Business. Google Business is very important because it is going to be the first thing or one of the first things that Google shows on its search results. If you have a Google Business in addition to a nice website, you are more likely to gain clients that way. If you have good reviews, if you have some nice pictures, how many of us go to Google and you click on the highest rated, what's the word, business that you see there. So you do that.
I don't know.
Oh, somebody has their mic on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go. Now let's see. So setting up your Google Business is pretty straightforward. You go to Google My Business and set up your page. There will be a step-by-step instructions on that. You can add a street address if you want to. That way you can be found on Google Maps, which is also really nice for exposure, but it's not necessary. So ask past clients for reviews. And it's okay to have 2 Google businesses, one for performing and one for teaching. I personally have this because I felt like I wasn't getting the traffic that I wanted for my guitar teaching, and I was getting too much for the performance aspects. So I set up one for my teaching called Galveston Guitar Studio. And whenever somebody searches guitar lessons Galveston, that business pops up. Whereas my performing one, classical guitarist in Galveston, that one pops up when somebody searches those keywords. So I'm going to stop on Google Business because it's fairly straightforward, and I think y'all get the gist of it. But let's talk about social media. Okay, so YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. You want to choose 3 of these platforms to consistently post on. Take time curating your posts. What can you offer to the people who follow your page? It is about them, not you. How can you help them? How can you be of service? People don't want to not feel like they're getting, well, they don't want to feel like they're not getting anything from your page. They want to either be entertained, they want to be educated, they want to be engaged, or they want an emotional response, which brings me to my last bullet point. You want your post to include one or more of the following. So when you include education, engagement, entertainment, and emotion into one of your posts, you are going to have a lot more engagement with your content, with that particular post. You can do maybe just a couple things, maybe just one, but to really, really get people's attention, you'll want a couple or 3 of those things. So what's education? Education would be teaching videos, would be how-tos, would be if you're struggling with this, try this. engagement. So this one would be where you have people give their opinions on something. Do you prefer the footstool to the ergo play? Do you prefer carbon strings to nylon? Things like that, which are really good for stories. Instagram stories, that is. Entertainment, playing a nice piece, making it look good. Like I was saying earlier, we are visual people, we are visual beings. So taking time, setting up a space to where your content looks like you put time and effort into it, where you have a good audio, good video, these can be done on your phone at this point in time. Those things will help you have a successful post and emotion. People like to be able to relate. If you're relatable, that's basically what people want. What I want is to be understood and to have somebody empathize. I think that's a great word, empathize. So if you empathize with somebody's content, you're going to follow them. You're going to be invested in what they're doing. So everybody's different in this regard. So find what makes you different and special in regards to like your story and to maybe struggles you have whenever you're first playing guitar, things like that, because I promise you, somebody else out there is going through the same thing. All right, let's keep going. So tips for posting on Instagram. So use all the hashtags you can. You are allowed 29. I stop at 29. I think 30 might be the limit, but I just keep it at 29. Just be careful. Per post on your Instagram feed and Reels. Research relevant hashtags for your content. And you'll want to keep most of them on, you'll want to recycle them. But if you have something that's a teaching video, add guitar tips, guitar lesson. But then if it's a performing video, edit those out and add the composer's name, the name of the piece, things like that. Then let's talk about Reels. So Instagram is really pushing Reels right now because Instagram wants to compete with TikTok, which is something I really am not a fan of because Instagram's trying to be everything. It was trying to be YouTube with IGTV. Now it's trying to be Clubhouse with its lives. But anywho, Reels is being pushed by Instagram's algorithm. So we are seeing a lot more success with Reels videos than we are just normal posts. So you can post Reels almost every day. One thing though, if you are using TikTok as well, you need to get rid of that watermark that you get whenever you create on TikTok and then download it. So there's an app called Save Talk, and it will save your video and take off the watermark and add it to your photo gallery. So just be careful that watermark is gone whenever you repost on Reels. Okay, so with that said, post Reels almost every day. Your feed, like regular posts, you can do it 2-3 times a week. Stories. Now, this is a do as I say, not as I do. You want to post several times a day. You want to use Canva for very attractive stories, things. Of course, you don't have to edit it if you have like a beautiful beach or if you're practicing a piece, things like that. But if you're adding like some dialogue or something like that, maybe go to Canva, make it look pretty. You want it to look attractive. You want it to look clean and like you put some time and effort into it. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about stories and Reels. Respond to the comments, as maybe wait a couple minutes. Don't just respond like 5 seconds after somebody comments, but respond to them. Engage your commenters, ask questions, have a conversation. If somebody just posts a bunch of emojis, yeah, you can just post some emojis. But if they're like, I love that piece, my mom used to play that for me, engage them, ask, wow, your mom was a guitarist, that must have been amazing. They'll be like, yeah, she did this and that. And this is building a community. Not only is it good for the algorithm, because it's showing that people are engaging with your content, you're building a community. You're having a conversation with people. These are people that are following you. You want to talk to them. You want to have conversations with them. You want to treat them like they are a person, not just a number. Which kind of brings me to that follow unfollow trend that people do. Oh, please don't do that. That just makes you look bad. If you don't want to follow somebody, you don't have to. You can respond to their comments. You can respond to their direct messages, things like that. You don't have to follow them if you don't want to, which brings me to the last one, respond to your DMs. We're scrolling, we're going through our Instagrams, our TikToks, things like that. Just take a couple of minutes to respond to these comments or direct messages. Somebody has a question, try your best to answer it. They might not be able to have lessons at that point in time. They might just be starting to play classical guitar or whatever instrument it is that you're posting. Respond to them, have a conversation with them. It's not like you have to sit there and have a 5-hour long conversation, but a little back and forth is okay, because you're starting to engage your community and learn what they're wanting and what they liked and versus what they don't. Let's see. Okay, so a final word. So we live in a technological world where we don't have to rely on record companies to sign us to be successful as a musician. That said, we have to wear many hats to have a successful career as a musician. So that means not only are you playing and practicing, you are recording, you are posting, you are you're having to keep track of your finances, you're having to have lessons, you're teaching, you're doing all these things, and which is exciting because you're basically the CEO of your own business, your own business that would normally take 5-6 people to run. So be kind to yourself. Focus on what you enjoy about music and share that. Don't try to take time for yourself every day. It's easy to get caught up in Instagram and TikTok and being obsessed with all these things, but by taking time away from that, you can come back refreshed. You can come back with meaningful content. You can come back with enthusiasm, which if you don't have, people will notice. Inspire others, help others, and most especially be kind to, I want to say everyone, but sometimes people are just mean, so block them, or just block the people that are mean. But be kind to everyone, even the people that are mean, just block them. But especially yourself. Be kind to yourself. If you need a break, take that break. If you need to stop practicing for a week, stop practicing for a week. You will come back refreshed. You will come back with a different mindset, a better mindset. If you need to stop posting for a week, do that. Sure, you'll lose maybe a few followers, but are they really people that you wanted there if they're just not going to support you, even if you're having a hard time, things like that. So I think I covered pretty much everything. Just get your website, make it look nice, make it scrollable. That's the biggest takeaway from that. And use images to your advantage, set up a Google business, and use social media to your advantage. All right. So I think that is it. I'm going to stop sharing now. Woo. Okay, Paul. How many people are still here after all that? A few.
There's quite a bit.
All right.
People. That was a lot of information
there's
there.
a slight ringing. Oh, was that mine?
You might try muting it and then try coming back on and see if it'll work.
Any improvement?
It's about the same.
Yeah, I hear it too. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Okay. Hmm. Weird. Okay, but I hope that was helpful. And if anybody has any questions regarding all that, I'd be happy to answer them. Like I was saying earlier, all those things I could spend hours talking about individually, like the images, which ones you should use, which ones you shouldn't, how to SEO, things like that. Um, yeah, but we only have so much time, so um, what did you think, Paul?
Yeah, it's a lot of information. Probably in the first sitting, I've came across a lot of this information that you're talking about, and yeah, there's a lot of truth. There's a lot of good information here.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I hope that was helpful for some people, and yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely something you could have a series on.
Yes, even I see Sebastian's in here. I know Sebastian's done some videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
so he could attest to some of this stuff himself.
Yeah, he has a really good setup. His videos like on point. I'm jealous of his setup.
Yes, very cinematic. I've seen that.
Yeah. So Sebastian, in the comments, would you mind telling us what camera you use and what audio? Because I've been seeing like blue microphones. I've been seeing those a lot. Canon. Oh yeah, Canon 5D Mark IV. Okay. So I have a Canon. I haven't figured out how to use it yet though. And then what kind of audio do you use? And also like there are those pencil mics, I think what they're called. Royer 122 mic. Okay, I'll have to look that up. So there are lots of options. That's also a rabbit hole. There are so many. What are your thoughts on streaming? So live streams like on YouTube, um, I think those are helpful. I know they bring a lot of like here, this is a live stream where yeah, it's nice because you can have people come and they're excited about it. But then what's also not nice about it is because, you know, it's only for that short amount of time. Some people will miss it, some people forget, even though they have it on their calendar. I might be one of those people. Um, yeah, but it's helpful. And if you do like lives on Instagram and TikTok, those are nice. And they're good for TikTok live isn't very what's the word, it doesn't usually have a big turnout. Instagram live has a little bit better turnout, because I think you get the notification, whereas on TikTok you're just scrolling and it's like, oh, this person's live. Yeah, I think pre-recorded is a little bit better, and then having like a premiere of that recording on YouTube or something like that, I think that would be a little bit better. 3 tips for the best. Yeah. All right. Well, Paul, do you have any questions for me?
Um, I did have some questions earlier, but they've kind of slipped my mind.
Oh no. Okay. Was it about playing or was it about the presentation?
It's probably about playing. It was a question about playing, but I cannot remember right now.
Okay. No worries. If you remember though, you can send me a text or an email. I'll
Okay.
respond.
Have you done any concerts online as of this weekend?
No, not yet. Do you know Andrea Cannon? Okay. She's in Houston. She's a Suzuki teacher. She was talking about doing one I think in April, the end of April. Um, we'll be doing that. It's going to be the profits of it is going to go towards the Houston Classical Guitar Festival. So we're just getting ready for that. Yeah, but no, I haven't done a live concert, an online live concert. Have you?
I'm too busy teaching, so I haven't done
Right.
that. If you want to share your Houston classical guitar, you guys have something coming up?
Yeah, we have a so like a festival. We're going to have private lessons, master classes, some courses. It's all online right now, but I'll go ahead and put that in. I think it hasn't been updated yet, but hopefully pretty soon it will be. And we're going to be having a competition and things like that. We'll have a 2-year college competition that's also for freshmen and sophomores and then a 4-year university, middle school, high school, ensemble, and open division. So, and then Renee Izquierda is going to be teaching a masterclass, giving some lessons. Jeremy Garcia, Jay Katarski, and I think there was one other person, but his name has slipped my mind. Then let's see. Do you have any specific rituals, warm-ups you do before performance? Oh, that's a good one. I don't drink coffee. I drink coffee every other day except for a day of a performance. It makes me jittery. What else? You want to warm up, but you don't want to fatigue your hands when you by over practicing. So doing these kinds of warm-ups where you're just adding one finger at a time. Those are good. The arpeggios. What else? Taking deep breaths. I can get kind of anxious before a performance, so taking deep breaths, having a repertoire that I really enjoy playing, I think is one of the biggest things that has helped me. Having a designated first piece, so you decide which piece you want to open with and practice opening with it cold several times before you actually perform. Practice performing in front of your family members on a live on Instagram, in front of your dog, really anybody. Just practice going from the beginning of your concert rep to the end, and just go straight through, record yourself, see what works, what doesn't. Yeah, I think that is probably the best ritual before performance, is just practice performing, because you practice playing a piece by breaking it apart, but you have to practice actually performing as well. Okay, what advice would you give to young guitarists who are starting in the world of guitar? Oh, that's a good one. Make friends, network, be nice to people, comment on their posts, ask questions, kind of like what you're doing right now. Starting in the world of guitar, kind of find your niche a little bit. Figure out, are you really good at performing? Are you really good at teaching? Are you really good at recording? Things like that. Focus on those strengths and add to it. See what you can offer people. What kind of things are you good at? Even if that's just being nice and friendly, that is a huge advantage that some people don't have, is just being nice. Let's see, what else? Go, whenever we're able to, go to festivals, go to the concerts, introduce yourself to these people. They'll remember you, I promise. What else? In regards to playing, being a better performer, things like that, it just takes practice. Well, here's the thing. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So I was one of those people that would sit in the practice room for like 5 hours just going through my pieces over and over and over again. And I never got better. Wow. So who would have thought? But whenever I took the time to break down the pieces and to really be mindful and critical of myself a little bit, and to slow down and to really analyze what I was doing, that caused me or made me go from like here to like way up here in like a quarter or an eighth of the amount of time, just playing the same thing over and over again for 5 hours. Let's see, what's your favorite piece to play? I like to play the fast pieces. Endless Trigalis is one that I really enjoy playing. I don't know if too many people enjoy listening to it at this point, but I love playing it. It's fun, it's fast. Yeah, that's the kind of music I like to play. What do you do when you feel unmotivated while studying? Wait, stop, take a break. Go get a cup of tea or coffee, depending on what time zone you're in. Get a snack. That's my favorite. Go get a snack, drink a big glass of water, fill a mason jar full of water and just drink it over the next 10 minutes or something. Be hydrated. That's whenever I start not feeling good, it's usually because I'm dehydrated. I know it's simple, but just drinking water and keeping yourself hydrated really helps you feel good. Yeah, but unmotivated while studying, yeah, just take a break. Maybe go listen to some albums that you really enjoy listening to. It doesn't even have to be in classical guitar. Then maybe even go to sleep and then come back tomorrow and come back with the mindset of, I need to work on this part and this part alone. Set your timer for 5 minutes. Work that part out for that 5 minutes. Don't go past it. Don't start before it. Just work on that part, and you will, having that focused mindset for that one, for those 5 minutes on that one thing, it's going to immediately help, rather than going through it and then continuously stumbling through. So I hope that was helpful. But let's see. Your favorite composer? My favorite composer. He's not a guitar. He's not a classical guitar composer. Philip Glass. I love listening to his music. I wish he wrote for classical guitar. There are some arrangements of his pieces that sound absolutely amazing on classical guitar, especially duos. But he writes mostly for piano. But I love his music, which is kind of funny because I was saying I love Endless Trigalis because it's fast, whereas this stuff, it makes me calm. It makes me feel at ease. And that's why I like his music. Okay, so I think that's all the questions, Paul.
That's all right. We want to thank you for being here, Clara. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your knowledge on all this on the MasterClass, as well as the marketing yourself. It was great. All of it was great.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or my website, claramclain.com. Just send me a message and I will get back to you. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, hopefully whenever things settle down, I'll be able to say hi whenever I'm in Odessa next time.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'd love to have you.
Cool.
And one more thing before we close off. We have our last masterclass, which is April 9th, and that's going to feature Emma Rush. The first part of the class, we're going to be learning about fascinating figures from guitar history, focusing on female composers and performers. And then the second half of the session is going to be exploring how to use authentic 19th century techniques to improve your playing, so to bring your guitar. So if you guys really want to come check out Emma Rush, she has some great information. She just released a CD last year, so
yeah,
hope everyone was able to attend.
Y'all should. She's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well,
thank you, Paul.
Thank you.